Hi, it's Adrienne. I'm in the studio today and I am getting ready to mount a painting, this painting, on a cradled panel like this. This is my alternative for being able to hang and display artwork that is on paper without glass. So what I do is sometimes I use gel medium. I've since gotten this big tub of acrylic. This is their version of gel medium, and it's less expensive than Golden's. When I use the Golden for other things, but when I'm basically looking for a glue, I tend to use this acrylic. And I have put it in a jar. Just, it's easier. I typically use a sponge brush. I've got water here and a spray bottle with water in it. I like to work really wet and just to make sure that everything adheres properly. And I guess the other thing I forgot, I've got paper towels. The other thing I've got is a brayer. And that helps just make sure that the paper is evenly adhered. You can do this with your hands as well, but that's what I do. Now this paper, this is 140-pound watercolor paper. It was much larger than this. It was a quarter sheet, 11 by 15, I guess it was. And so I've trimmed it down, but this is a 9 by 12 panel, and I've left it just a smidge larger than the panel, so that I can trim it once it's on the panel. But I'll show you that. So what I typically do is spray the panel, not a lot, but just a little, with water. And I've got my gel medium here. This is a matte medium. I don't know that it really matters which it is, but I've got my sponge brush wet. Wring it out a little bit. And what I do is pretty liberally, really, put this gel medium on the panel. You can even do this with a paper towel, and I feel like I've done that as well, but I think these sponge brushes are just so easy to use. And I do rinse them out and reuse them, but eventually, they cost $1 or $2, I think, at the hardware store. I don't even buy them at the Hobby Lobbies or the art supply stores that I use, like Jerry's Artorama. But after a while, I just throw them away and don't feel badly about it. So I try to keep it neat to the extent that I can. But I want to make sure I've got full coverage and I've got plenty of medium. You don't need to work at a breakneck speed, but the thing that you don't want to do is let it go for a minute or two even in the middle of your process, because you don't want anything to start drying without being properly adhered. And I guess if I had any sense, I'm going to put some paper down so that I don't ruin my my working surface and get medium all over that. I typically do cover my tables with plastic, 5mm plastic, and it doesn't last forever, but it lasts a whole lot longer if you don't get stuff stuck all over it. So, and I get enough paint on it, so that is. Now, I don't have any kind of a protective coating on the paper side of this yet, but I will, and I'll show you what I use, but I will, once this is dry and adhered properly, I will definitely finish the front. And you can use, for that, I can use varnish. Well, on paper, I tend not to use varnish, actually, but I'll use gloss medium, satin medium, or matte medium, depending on the look I'm looking for. And sometimes I use half satin and half gloss. I kind of like a little bit of a shine, but sometimes just not too much, it just depends. But I like a little bit more than the satin. So anyhow, all right, everything's covered, it's all good. I'm just gonna spray this because I'm talking and not really working very fast. But I am going to take this off. And this is just a little painting I did in the last month. I am working with a organization that's asking for donations, so I'm going to give them a painting, and this is it. And what I'm going to do is put it on. Now I just do this with my hands. I can kind of feel around the edges and just make sure that there's just a little tiny bit to trim. You can flip it over. Now this I will leave it on the plastic for. I don't want to get newsprint on it when it's wet. But anyhow, okay, so that's, you can see there's just a little bit around the edges, and I'll trim that with a utility knife. So anyhow, this is going to go in the water. I'm going to brayer, and you know, the smart person would cover this with just a vellum sheet, or I'm just going to use paper towel because I've got it right here. But just, you know, in case anything's on your brayer. And I go in all directions. I start in the center and I brush outwards just to make sure that it all is tacked down properly. I have actually never had one of these come loose. I've been really lucky. The thing that you want to avoid is getting a bubble in the middle of it where it doesn't adhere properly, because if you do that, there's really, that I know, no way to correct that. So you can see, you can feel it. So then I'm going to flip it over. I actually have dumbbells around here someplace, but because I've been in my studio such a short time, I'm not really sure where they are. They may even be in the house. So for right this minute when I weigh it, again, just to protect the surface from whatever on earth is on my table, there's that, there's that. You can use anything to weigh it down. I weigh it down and I let it sit for 24 hours. So this is pretty heavy. The gel medium's pretty heavy. I've got a couple of bottles of gloss glazing liquid from Golden that I get from Jerry's Artorama. That's pretty heavy, so I really think that'll do it. You can stack them, it doesn't matter. So that's the first step, and I'll make a video about how I trim this and how I finish the painting as well. That's pretty much it. Make sure to clean out your brushes in a hurry if you're going to keep them. Have a great day.